A very good morning from the Sports Day. So for the final time this morning on the Weekend Report, let's get into your sports news this hour. The Bulls will welcome Leinster to Loftus Versfeld in their URC semi-final clash later on this afternoon. Now, beaten finalist in 2022, the South African side saw off Benetton, while Leinster came up tops against another Irish side in Ulster in their chase for a ninth title. Let's speak now to SA Rugby Magazine journalist Dylan Jack, who joins us this morning from Cape Town to help us preview this semi-final. Dylan, good morning and good to see you. I was surprised though that only 23,000 tickets have been sold for this semi-final, home semi-final for the Bulls. Were you surprised by that?
Yes, good morning. It was, I think the best way to put it is that it is disappointing, but perhaps a bit unsurprising. I think it is the middle of the month, so I don't know if people have the necessary money available to go and spend another potentially between sort of 250, 500 Rand on this game. And then you've also got to factor in that it takes place 2 weeks before the big test between the Springboks and Ireland at Loftus Versfeld. So the people who were going to spend money on rugby tickets are probably gone for that. So it's a bit unfortunate there, but it is a bit disappointing because it is essentially the Irish national team that has travelled down here to play in this game. Ireland have named a lineup full of Irish internationals, and that's been drummed home by the media that it is going to be essentially an audition appetizer for the upcoming test series. So in that sense, it is a little bit disappointing, but perhaps not unsurprising.
Let's talk about the squads that have been named for this matchup. Jake White also bringing in 3 changes from last week's game against Benetton. You mentioned, of course, that the Irish side, well, Leinster have an Irish full of Irish players who play for the national team. Let's talk about those changes.
Yeah, so the Bulls they're without Kurtley Orense and Kanan Moody, of course, due to injury. So that's a bit of a big blow for them. Both players have undergone surgery, hoping to be ready for the test series against Ireland. But they have got a player back in Makhura van Staden, the loose forward, the Springbok loose forward. So that's a big boost for them in terms of their forward pack. So they've got pretty much a full-strength forward pack, which is good news for them. In terms of Leinster, they've welcomed back Gary Ringrose, the Ireland centre, to fitness. So he completes what is a full lineup of Ireland internationals. They've got everyone there. They've got Gibson Park. They've got James Lowe on the wing. Robbie Henshaw is partnering Ringrose. They've got a full front row of Ireland internationals with Andrew Porter there, Dan Sheehan's there. So it's a big test for the Bulls, this one. It's huge for some of these players. In terms of replacing Moody and Kurtley Orense, the Bulls have called in some good experience. They've got Sergio Peterson there, the former Stormers wing. He's been playing for a while now, and they've got Devin Williams there, who's also a very experienced player. So it's a big test for these guys.
All right, this also happens to be a repeat of the URC semi-final from 2022. It was in that final, semi-final, that the Bulls actually won that semi-final away from home at the Aviva Stadium. So much, though, has changed since then. It's going to be very important, though, for the Bulls to sort of up their game from what we saw last week against Benetton. They're not going to have to allow the Irish side to come into this game. The soft moments they're going to have to take advantage of, as well as the big moments, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking back to that semi-final in Dublin a few years ago, I mean, that was a very inexperienced team as well. So the Bulls do have a much more experienced lineup this time around. They know kind of what to expect, and they have the benefit of playing on the high part and altitude. A lot of these Irish players haven't actually played at Loftus Versfeld in a long, long time. Some of them would have played during the 2021 Lions series, but of course, that was when there were no fans in the stadium. So it's going to be a very different experience for this Leinster team. But yeah, saying that, Leinster are still a very deadly side. The Bulls cannot afford to make the same mistakes, lose the same kickoffs that they did against Benetton, because this Leinster side will punish them. They've got the experience, they've got the nous, they've got Jacques Nienaber in their coaching staff, so they'll know how to take their opportunities when it matters.
You speak about Jacques Nienaber. Let's speak about him very briefly, because this is a man who obviously coached the Springboks, a man who took the Springboks to greater heights. And the interesting thing is that he's known for his defensive prowess as well. How do you think he's implemented his defensive system with Leinster? Because we saw it with the Springboks, but how has he implemented this now with Leinster?
I think it's gone really, really well. I mean, the Leinster have been criticised a little bit this season for perhaps focusing too much on their defence over their attack. But in terms of implementing his defensive structure, I think he's done a very, very good job this season with Leinster. We saw them a few weeks ago going toe-to-toe in the European Cup final against a very, very good Toulouse side and taking that game all the way through to extra time, and I think only losing it in the second period of extra time. So I think he's done a really, really good job there over at Leinster.
Where can the Bulls now sort of exploit Leinster today? Where's their weaknesses?
I think they're really going to have to take this at a high tempo. They're going to have to start similar to how they started against Benetton when Curtly Arendse got those first couple of tries in the first 20 minutes. They're going to have to really run the ball, keep it at a high tempo. They can't allow Leinster to bring their kicking game and their set piece and that sort of game and slow it down. They cannot allow that. They've got to keep the tempo high. They've got to look for space in behind the outside backs, and they've got to get those outside backs turning. And also try and take the battle up front. I think they've got the forward pack to be able to go toe-to-toe with this Leinster team.
Dylan, just a reminder, what needs to happen today for the Bulls to now qualify for a home final? Because at the end of the day, a final is up for grabs today. Also keeping in mind that Munster, the defending champions, are taking on Glasgow Warriors, also in the other semi-final.
Yeah, so obviously the Bulls need to go and beat Leinster. That's the first thing that they need to do. And then they need to get out their Glasgow Warriors flags and support Franco Smith's Glasgow Warriors team, because if Glasgow Warriors win, they will knock out Munster, who are the top-ranked side, and the final will be held at Loftus Versfeld. So that's essentially what they need to do, is they need to hope that Glasgow Warriors beat Munster in the second semi-final.
And just a final one, obviously South Africans will be watching this match as well with keen interest, along with coach of the Springboks, Rassie Erasmus, because it's not just going to be a win for the Bulls. If they win, it's a great win, but it also ultimately is a great win for the Springboks, because it's good news for the Springboks if the Bulls are able to win today against Leinster.
Exactly. I mean, there's a few guys out there who will be wanting to put their hands up, who have been putting their hands up all season and were wanting to show again that they're capable of going toe-to-toe with the Ireland side, you know. We're talking guys like Wilco Lowe, who's been brilliant, the tight head prop, who's been brilliant all season. So I think Rassie will definitely be keeping an eye on this one, watching it with keen interest to see which players actually stand up and sort of be accounted for in this game.